They say the road not taken is less traveled on, mostly because that road is a shitty road. And misinterpreted poems aside, in sports, finding your way to a championship can take an unusual path. But these teams were able to forge their own way towards success, and others followed suit. Here are 5 teams from each major sports league that changed the way things were done. And before I get into this, I want to thank SeatGeek for sponsoring this video. SeatGeek is a mobile app that aggregates ticket prices from all over the web, gives them a color-coded and numerical rating, lets you see the view from the seats before you buy, and is done safely and securely right on your phone. Download the SeatGeek app today and enter in my code FPG at checkout and get $20 off your first order. SeatGeek! Number 5, the greatest show on turf. When you look at innovative offenses in the NFL, you probably think about the West Coast offense, which was a clever system devised by Bill Walsh and executed by Joe Montana and company. It was great, but things like the zone blitz developed and it was becoming less effective. The 1999 St. Louis Rams installed an offense that would shatter NFL scoring records, with 99 being the first of 3 500-point seasons, something the league had never seen. Led by former grocery store bagger Kurt Warner, yes, that's true, the offense was characterized by 5-wide formations, pre-snap audibles, bunch formations, and overall stretching of the field. Even more prominent in the offense was the emergence of the two-way back, in this case played by the role of Marshall Faulk. The Rams used Faulk and extremely fast wide receivers to confuse, frustrate, and simply outrun opponents as they went 13-3 and capped off their season with a Super Bowl win. Mike Martz, though he ended up being a horrible head coach, was the architect of the system. Martz credits learning the system from Sid Gilman. It's worth noting that the Rams had some key pieces that contributed to their success: Orlando Pace on the offensive line and a decent enough defense that could get them the ball back. After they won the Super Bowl, they spawned a few teams who didn't necessarily copy their scheme but employed the same philosophy of an overpowered offense, including the Indianapolis Colts in 2006, the Pats in 2007, and the Saints in 2011. Number 4, the late 90s Yankee super teams. The concept of the rich getting richer has been around in Major League Baseball essentially since the beginning. A trend, of course, started way back with Babe Ruth. However, just spending money didn't always seem to equal success, as just having the highest payroll in the league doesn't always mean you win a championship. Of course, until you go absolutely buck wild like the Yankees did in the late 90s, and the concept of combining an astronomically high payroll with actually evaluating who you are spending money on really worked. Well, especially that first part. The Yankees have consistently led the league in payroll, however, in 1998 they did not actually spend the most. The Orioles did because they screwed up and paid Joe Carter way too much money. But what the Yankees did was set up core talent they wanted to keep together, won 114 games, and curb stomped the rest of the league on the way to a world title because they were very lucky to have 3 superstars in Jorge Posada, Derek Jeter, and Mariano Rivera. But those Yankees weren't the trendsetters. It was the following 2 years where they changed the game. In 1999, the Yankees outspent the nearest team in payroll by $11 million and won a championship. In 2000, they were the first $100 million payroll team, spending $113 million and winning another championship. Their concept was simple: pay their stars and spend money in every department, including the bullpen. What's interesting about the Yankees is that in 2004, their payroll actually ballooned up to an astounding $182 million, $55 million higher than the Red Sox, who they lost to that year. The trend they started wasn't the Yankees spending money, though. It was other teams like the Red Sox now spending money to catch up and surpass them. Teams that benefited from this type of spending spree behavior were the Cardinals and, of course, the Cubs, who finally figured out you gotta throw down some cash if you want that ring. Number 3, the Chicago Blackhawks, the core concept. The NHL is an unusual league, one that included a cancellation of the entire season in 2004, 2005, and really pissed off a lot of fans. However, from the ashes of that failure rose a much smarter league, one with a salary cap and more defined rules on free agency, and most importantly, rules when it comes to rookie deals and re-signing players. And though many teams were successful once play resumed on the ice, the most successful team so far in the cap era has been the Blackhawks, which has won 3 cups since the new rules and has been relevant for much of the last 7 to 8 years. Obviously, bringing in Kane and Taves helped, but the Hawks have been very shrewd in adding talent for 1 year and being willing to make the hard decision of letting them go the next, as many, if not all of the players from the first cup-winning team in 2010 no longer play for the team. By keeping the core of Taves, Kane, and Keith together along with steady influx of farm talent like Brandon Saad and Andrew Shaw, the Hawks won a total of 3 cups in 6 years and saw other teams like the LA Kings, the Red Wings, and Penguins keep their core talent together in much the same manner to stay successful in the league. Though it appears eventually age and the cap will claim all of its victims, you also see other less successful teams trying to replicate the Hawks formula, though choking in the playoffs usually isn't part of the plan. Number 2, the New England Patriots, the QB-dependent team. Brad Johnson, Trent Dilfer, Phil Simms. It used to be common thinking that you could assemble a wicked defense and score just enough and you could win a championship. And though that's somewhat of a myth, today's concept of you must have a QB is perpetuated the most by Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. Over a 17-year career, which has seen him win 5 championships, Brady has continually shown to others in the league that all you need is one elite QB and all of your problems are solved. I mean, look, the year he went out, they only won 11 games and missed the playoffs. Last year, he was suspended, and they went 3-1. Of course, I'm being a little facetious, but Brady's success, coupled with other QB-reliant teams in the league like the Packers and Saints, has caused a league-wide trend of teams continually mortgaging the house to try and find that franchise QB, which some will probably never find. It's like many teams think they can just skip to the end by getting a QB. And Cleveland should just freaking give up. Number 1, the Miami Heat, the player-orchestrated super team. Just like the NHL, the NBA had to go through some growing pains to come up with a somewhat fair system of money and talent distribution. Except David Stern had never thought that the players would be able to orchestrate and form like Voltron into super teams by using things like their phones and emojis to communicate. And this was all started by the face of their league, LeBron James, who, in deciding to take his talents to South Beach, changed how the league is constructed entirely with the practice of teams assembling 3 superstars and winning championships, or if you are like Golden State, 5. Since much of the NBA's contracts have maximum dollar amounts and the CB allows for pretty liberal free agency, plus the fact that players now have tremendous leverage when deciding where they want to play, the parity in the NBA has somehow gotten worse in the cap era than it was before the new rules were designed. What's even more evidential in this theory is that LeBron not only did it once when he went to Miami, but essentially did it again when he came back to Cleveland, using the wattage of his star power to bring in Kevin Love and get his 1 ring. Other teams to copycat this have obviously been the Warriors, who won up the Cavs by adding Durant, and this year's Celtics. And let's not forget last year's Knicks super team. I needed a good laugh. Fucking Knicks. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave a like, comment, and of course, subscribe for more videos. And don't forget to download the SeatGeek app and use my code FPG and get $20 back on your first order. I'm 5 Points Vids, and you made it to the end of this video.